Inaugural Black Buck podcast. I'm Coach Rob, CrossFit Level 3.
And I am Art, CrossFit Level 1 coach.
CrossFit Level 1 coach, yeah. And man, today we're going to talk about a topic that comes up every now and again. It goes back to the roots of CrossFit and the one workout a day. I guess to give a little bit of pretext, nowadays it's popular, it's demanding even to do multiple parts, a strength and a conditioning, a canned warm-up, all for the sake of getting as much done in as little time as possible. CrossFit originally, and still to this day, does not, what word am I looking for? Does not suggest you do that on the regular, right?
Yeah.
It is not the recommendation. It is the exception. So we're going to talk a little bit about why. So Art, why do you think gyms are programming multiple parts to a workout every day?
I think that gyms are doing that these days for several reasons. One, because when you look at an elite athlete that competes, the CrossFit Games, these athletes have a different regimen, and they work out more than the typical person works out in a given day, because that's their career mostly. They really have a big quota to meet, like an endurance to achieve. But that's not the case for everyone who shows up to a local gym with a regular life, that goes to work on a daily basis. Different jobs are very demanding in different ways. And so, number one, is it achievable to do that? I've been to several gyms where they have that, three workouts within the hour. And I don't see that feasible towards the end of the class. The great majority of the people do not finish. They overscale because they cannot accomplish the first portion when they're already trying to jump into the next.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, going back through watching some old documentaries, it seems probably around like the time Rich Froning came along. Everybody's heard of him. If you haven't, Google him, Rich Froning. But probably around like 2011, 12, maybe 13, it really started to shift from CrossFit being a really intense thing you did once a day with maybe some accessories and whatever kind of built in on the side, whatever you wanted to do that was fun, to now we are waking up, running a 5K, doing a strength regimen in the next part of the day, and then the last part of the day we're doing a Metcon or maybe several Metcons in order to get to the games, right? In order to become a sports athlete instead of the general physical preparedness, right?
Right.
Making yourself a little bit better every day across the years of your life. That longevity thing that's real popular nowadays again.
Yeah. I think it's just trying to emulate that, trying to, achieve that sort of visual that we get, that picture of, what an elite athlete looks like, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the reason why a lot of the gyms are just trying to implement that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we get real jaded being around fit people all the time, right? We don't feel like, oh no, I'm in the middle of the leaderboard on today's workout, but if I go to the airport and ask somebody to do half of what I did in twice the amount of time, they would quit, laugh, or get back to eating their fast food, whatever struck them first. So the fact that we're coming into CrossFit for any measurable amount of time already kind of puts us in an elite category without even being competitive.
Exactly. Yeah. The reality is that any given person that shows up to a CrossFit gym, you're just way ahead of fitness, as an average. as an average individual. No matter even if somebody just started coming and they've been coming to the gym for like say about a month to 2 months, that already puts that person way ahead of the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So even now, shifting gears, right? We talked a little bit about kind of the history and why that is, but from a gym perspective, from a coaching perspective, you've been coaching for a lot less time than I have.
Yep.
You've seen both in practice, right? Here we do 1 workout a day, sometimes 2 workouts a day, very rarely 3 workouts a day.
Yeah.
If not for the sake of variance. What have you seen as being the big difference between, that 2 or 3 item list, that laundry list of exercises to do on a day versus the 1 workout a day? How has that made an impact from the coaching and the athlete standpoint?
I personally have seen a pretty there's a big difference because I've experienced all these 2 different ways of both as a member and now as a rookie coach. I've experienced the difference of for example, when we have those 3 workouts in a day, those 3 portions, everything is excessively rushed. If you're lifting heavy, well, you better lift you better put those 45 plates right at the moment you pick up that barbell. You got to put 45s in because by the next thing time is up and you're
by most standards, right? If
Yeah.
you come into an hour group class, you have an hour to work out, right?
Right.
That is
Yeah.
discuss what you're doing, warm up, workout, cool down, out the door, right? Anywhere else you go, kind of what I'm hearing, what I think about that is you wouldn't go to a powerlifting gym and somebody's going to powerlift for 15 minutes and say they got stronger that day, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen. They spend hours in there.
Oh yeah.
Accessories, dialing in the same movement that day.
The warm up in itself.
Right. We have an hour here, so we're already under a time constraint.
Yeah.
So even putting 2 workouts a day on a pure strength day is already cutting everything short. Right?
Exactly.
It's already cutting the ceiling you give yourself that day short, let alone coaching, let alone any kind of community building activities.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Those are some of the things that I see. For example, on a strength a day that has strength, and then if you're trying to build skill, some of these moves are very highly. It's a high skill. Like a snatch. For example, like
strength is a skill, right?
Yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, because it's like I cannot see myself. I don't lift super heavy on most lifts except for deadlift. But even a deadlift for me, which is my best lift, it takes me a while to get to where I'm like, okay, now I'm lifting.
Right.
Now I'm like really putting some plates on my bar.
Yeah.
And so to get to that point, if I don't take my time, then it won't happen. Right. So to think that we have a second part and then the third part is like, nah, today I ain't reaching my max.
Yeah.
I'm just
So you're already deciding which one's more
exactly
important.
Exactly.
Yeah. So even from my standpoint, an athlete's standpoint, if I've got 20 minutes to do a lift, it could take me 20 minutes to get warm for a lift, right? If I'm going for a 1 rep max deadlift, which I hit 15 pounds this year, I probably wouldn't be able to do that in 20 minutes, right?
No.
It would be a fool's errand. Right?
Exactly.
But let's say, for instance, like I only lift 200. I could get pretty close to 200, even if I'm new, relatively quickly, and then get those reps in. But we still run into the same problem where, well, what if we gave that person another 20 minutes to deadlift?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So now we're hitting both sides of the spectrum. We're hitting the advanced athlete, right? And we're hitting the newbie gains.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to be moving forward. And I didn't have to spend any extra time, right? I hit the same gym workout that day as everybody else. I was part of the community.
Right. Yeah, and you get to like not rush it, and you get converse and just mingle around
Yeah.
your peers. Heck, sometimes you even get to partner up with somebody and be like, hey, we're about the same level of lift,
Right.
so I mean,
Yeah.
it makes it
And
interesting.
the same thing for a skill work, right? Like, if I'm working with somebody who doesn't have ring muscle ups, let's say, and I'm
Hmm.
working with somebody who's able to string 5 together, if I can utilize that whole hour around maybe that movement, right? We're going to warm up, and maybe it's 30 ring muscle ups for time, or maybe it's 5 rounds of 5 ring muscle ups and 10 thrusters,
Hmm.
right? Something of that nature. The amount of reps that I'm able to get in, if I don't have another thing to worry about, a bench press, right?
Hmm.
Oh, we're going to bench press before we've got, a squat cycle going on. No, how many more reps have every one of us gotten by just focusing on those movements that day, right?
Right.
How much farther are we moving that needle faster?
Right.
Yeah, we're not touching everything as often, but I also want people to come often enough that they are touching those skills frequently.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that those are some of the differences I see, and just the level of exhaustion. I mean, I oftentimes see it in my own self. I've experienced it where um, doing too much can be counterproductive, right? Because we get injured. We get
And that
excessive
keeps people
fatigue.
out of the gym, right?
Exactly.
Keeps people out of the gym.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm too tired to go. Oh, I'm too tired to
Exactly,
go.
exactly. Like when we look at at what's the next day, you're like, oh my gosh, like like how am I gonna do that workout?
Yeah.
Like and the idea is like, oh well, soreness and that's your growth and whatnot. But the reality is like if we're not finishing these workouts on a constant basis,
Yeah.
then that means we cannot do them. It's just
Right.
unachievable.
And even to the point where it's like, well, but we got to do cycles, right? We got to do
Hmm.
bench press cycle. We got to do squat cycle.
Hmm.
Man, say it's 2 weeks I haven't been in the gym, or maybe just my schedule doesn't align to the progressive nature of that.
Hmm.
And I come in and I'm feeling good, right? I had Thanksgiving dinner the day beforehand, and well, we're only building to 60% today.
Hmm. Right. Yeah,
Who's at a loss, right?
yeah, I actually had experienced that a lot previously, due to the fact that I had a job that was very demanding in my time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that goes through that. There's many people who experience that where, you're like in the cycle and you know that the cycle's like either starting or in the middle, and you're like, man, today I got just the right amount of energy. I know I can PR,
Right.
but we're not doing no PR
Right.
today
Or the
because
opposite, right? And it's PR day,
and then
and
you're
you're just run
drained.
over, right? You just
Yeah.
a bag of smashed ass,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you're expected to perform because
Yeah.
you're not going to touch that at best for the next cycle, but it might be
Right.
the next year before you're going for another bench press PR or
Exactly.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? So and that brings me to the penultimate point of one workout a day is like it leaves room for coaching. I should be
Absolutely.
able to connect with my athletes well enough, fast enough, frequently enough that,
Right.
man, if I see that glimmer in the eye and it's 5x1 bench press day,
Hmm.
I'm gonna push that person, right? But
Right.
if Sally comes in and she's just having stress, I should be able to say, hey, let's dial it back today. We don't
Yeah.
have to PR every time we touch this movement.
Exactly. Exactly.
Life doesn't work that way.
Yep.
So why can't we just have fun, get some bench press in, and try to reduce the amount of stress, or better sleep, or dial in those factors that make her not want to push the gas pedal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also very important because in a class that is way too busy, there's too much going on. Well, there's no way you can see what people are going through. And that day, all you can do is like chop, chop, chop. The next portion of the day is coming. So, I'm sorry, but it's your loss,
Right.
not our
Right.
loss, because we gotta move.
Right.
So then there's no room to really see a little better the people who is attending the class.
Yep.
And the coaching part of it as a class, which is very different. I'm so used to helping people individually, but not in a class. This is where my rookiness comes into play, right? That those are the aspects I need to learn. But for example, like yesterday's class was great eye opener for me, because you know uh, it takes a lot to be able to move through different people and help them, achieve their best lift, and that makes the difference in every single one person that steps into the gym,
Yep.
because the next time they do it, it'll be better for them.
Right.
Versus if they come in and, well, I mean, good or bad, you got it in somehow, but that's how you left. You go home, and unless you tap into the coach's shoulder and say like, hey, give me feedback,
Right.
and you pull
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get any.
Right.
Right.
And that's ultimately like why coach group class, right? I can be a personal trainer and pull in $80 a session. These group class members could go get personal training for $80 a session, but the group class model works really well, right? It works well anyway, right? So let's talk about even just throwing stuff on the whiteboard and having people do it, it gets them active, it gets them fit, it gets them PRs, it gets them generally where they want to go. But I think if you're serious about coaching, you want to be able to coach, and you need the time and the space to move a group of athletes through and to cue a group of athletes.
Yeah.
Right. Whether there's 20 people in a class or 2 people in a class, I need to be able to spend time and say, well, let's clean this up. Let's clean that up.
Right.
We're doing a good job here. Yes, we need to do more. No, we need to do less. And I just can't do that as effectively, right? It'll be like, hey, let's talk after class. Never a bad thing, but
Right.
let's also make sure you get a big dose of coaching during class.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't have the time.
Yeah.
Some people don't have the time. That's why
Right.
they attend the class, and they expect to be told what to do,
Right.
how to do it during the class.
I want to get better at my toes to bar during class, because
Exactly.
that's what I'm paying for and that's what I have time for.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be great if I had extra money or extra time to spend, but I don't. So as a group class business, as a CrossFit gym, as a functional fitness gym, my responsibility is to get everybody better at the workout that day. And the more pieces and the more things I touch on, the less opportunity I have to do that. Right.
Right.
It takes a really, really good coach, a lot of energy and a lot of dialing in to do that effectively. And as you've seen, as we've worked through, even if it's one workout a day, it still takes a ton of detail and energy and dialing in.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a lot of planning.
Yeah. It takes a lot of planning to do it. So that you're actually impacting, the athletes, the people that are showing up to class. But also, I think it's the part where, there's a lot of work that needs to be done outside of just the workout. There's a
Right.
lot of grunt work that needs to be done. There's like all that accessory work that needs to be done. Oftentimes, I mean, I hear this, it's like, oh, we're not doing this enough. Like, for example, like bar muscle ups, ring muscle ups, or other type of technical moves, right? And well, I think to myself, after getting some of your coaching and going down memory lane, although I'm a rookie coach, I've been attending CrossFit for about 8 years or so. So I've had a share of many different coaches, throughout
Mm-hmm.
those 8 years. And I remember the best coaches I've ever gotten. They were like, Art, you need to work on those things that are not in the class sometimes, but we put them in the class and you know what they are. And
Mm-hmm.
you need to work on those because you're never going to get up on that bar unless you chisel these little things, right?
Yep.
And so what happens when the class is too overwhelming that we cannot do any of that? Well, guess what? If Johnny's not putting that extra chiseling on the side,
Right.
he's never gonna get
It
that bar muscle up.
it boils down to, right, if the automatic scale for, oh,
Exactly.
you can't do bar muscle
Exactly.
ups, well, we're just going to do burpee pull ups today.
Exactly.
Oh, you
Exactly.
can't do bar muscle ups, well, let's drill and skill and warm that up to get you closer today. And
Exactly.
if you want more on top of that and you have the time and you have the money,
Right.
let's go for it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then at least we can say, man, we're doing everything we can during
Right.
that hour to
Exactly.
move that skill,
Yeah.
because that's what we're focused
Yeah.
on today.
Yeah. One example I have is very clearly. You might remember a few months ago. I came back from California, took a big break,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a muscle up workout, and they were just not happening. I was just getting up to the bar. I was just doing like, dying right at the bar. However, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be intentional about this. I know that Rob has been drilling this to me, so I'm just gonna put it in the works. And I started, doing all that work and that in class and paying attention to the parts that gets us stronger where we need to be strong without hitting the bar, right?
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yep.
What was it? Monday we had the bar muscle
Yep.
ups workout, and heck, I mean, I'm not the biggest athlete here, but I was able to put 2 bar muscle ups per round
Yeah.
versus no muscle
Right.
up.
And it all goes like every piece before that, every pull up day where, yeah, there might only be 30 pull ups in the workout, but the drills and the warm up and
Exactly.
everything, I mean, you're probably getting no less than 70 or 80 pulling movements, right? All that additional strength work that goes into, it's the veggies and the meatloaf, right?
Right.
Oh, I want more strength work. Well, come do an intentional
Yeah.
warm up in this class,
Yeah.
and that's your strength
Yeah,
work.
sometimes it's a little tedious to some,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, hey, to me,
It's tedious during the
you
warm
know,
up. It's tedious as accessory work.
right? Yeah, but it is the one thing that gets us to what we want. We
Yep.
want to be the cool kids that do all these rings,
Right.
all these volumes, all these things. But the magic doesn't happen by getting up there all the time. There's a lot of accessory work
Right.
before that.
Yep.
And so yeah, I think that's where I see the biggest difference between a 3 piece in a day versus one single piece, and whatever's gonna help us build for that workout in the day.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So it's again, I won't say anything is wrong, right? It's not wrong to do a 3-piece workout. It's not wrong to do cycles. It's not wrong to do a linear progression. At worst, it's lazy, right? We can apply a template to everybody and just say, hey, everybody move through this.
Yeah.
Right? At best, it's easier, right?
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
can say, hey, do this, put it up on the whiteboard, let's go. Can't do muscle ups, burpee pull ups, great. But there's a better way, right? There's not just that way to get strong.
Yeah.
There's not just that way to get skills, and
Yeah.
that is doing less better.
Yeah.
Do less better. Right?
Yeah.
Concentrate on what you need to concentrate on for that day.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Worry about rope climbs when rope climbs come up. Worry about
Yeah.
back squat when back squat comes up. PRs will still happen,
Oh yeah.
right? And you won't run the risk of coming in on the wrong day and you not meeting the expectation. No, the coach is going to get you to the expectation that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really it's simple, right? It's simple. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work to do one workout a day.
Yeah.
A lot of work, and I would argue it's better work. It's more effective work. It's funner work. And why would we do work unless we want it to be the most productive, right?
Yeah.
If you love to work out 3 hours a day, go work out 3 hours a day. Most people, 45 minutes is enough, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, like overworking, depending on the demands of every person. Every person's life is different. You know, I mean, heck, I mean, some people might not have much to do throughout the entire day, and they get a lot. They get naps in. They
Right.
get, you know, like all these recovery stuff.
Yep.
Okay, you know, if you're in that position, knock yourself out. You know, like if you can put in the time for all of that, you know, kudos to you, right? But if that's not the place and that's not where you're standing, well, chances are you're not gonna be able to resist all that beating, you know, without all the stuff that you require to make that possible, right?
True.
Because it is doable, but it requires stuff. It's like you need to recover. And if you're not recovering through only sleep, like, you know, man, you know, like you need therapy too, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So,
All right. I think we beat that topic up.
all right, call it a day.
It's all good. It's casual. It's a casual.